each of them there is an A position and a B position. Typically the A position has the third on the bottom and the B position has the 7 on the bottom. So I'll use the first example from the worksheet that's attached as a document. It's a C minor 9 chord. So here's the A position, here's the B position. I encourage everyone to think numerically as they work through these. So in terms of numbers, we have flat 3, 5, flat 7, and 9. And for the B position, we have flat 7, 9, flat 3, 5. At the top of this page, I have what's called the rule of thumb. And what that is, it pertains to range, so that you don't play something that sounds too thin in the upper register or too muddy in the lower register. So this will ensure that it's just right. Your left-hand thumb needs to be between middle C and the octave above middle C. So with the A position voicing, I'm just above middle C, and the B position voicing, I am right in the middle on G. So how do you go about learning this? Well, I'd suggest first of all you just read it off the page. You go back and forth between the A position and B position. Then you want to get it ingrained in your memory. So what I would suggest doing, at first it's going to sound terrible, but disregard the rule of thumb and cover the entire range of the keyboard alternating between A and B position. So here it goes. Encourage my students, I say place and then sound. So that means you place your hand over the chord and then you sound it, as opposed to, stumbling and trying to find it as you're hitting the notes and then hitting wrong notes. So you get your hand in the right position, place, sound, place, sound, place, sound. Okay? Okay, so after having going over the entire range of the keyboard, then you go back to what is the correct range according to the rule of thumb. Go back and forth a couple times. Alright, that takes care of that, right? Now you'll go around the circle of fourths to master this in all 12 keys, right? So we did C, now we'll go on to F. So I think in terms of the same numbers, 3, 5, flat 7, 9 for A position. And for B position, I'm going to go down to flat 7, 9, flat 3, 5. And I choose to go down because of my rule of thumb. I could go up or down, right? Because C is the top note. But when you have the option, I always go down because that gives you more range to improvise with your right hand. So you're not just tinkling in the very highest of registers. So when you can go down, go down. Okay? So then I do the same thing with that. I would go back and forth, then I would cover the entire range alternating between A and B position, going up and then back down, and then return to what is the correct range. Okay, then I would see if I can get C in A position, C in B position, F in A position, F in B position, all together. Here we go. C in A, C in B, F in A, F in B. Okay, so after you've worked your way through the process and you've covered all 12 keys, what you'll want to do is start working towards getting some speed and basically testing yourself to see how well you know this. So I have a little game that I call meeting the deadline of the tick. And so I put on a metronome, and at first I'll give myself 4 ticks per chord. So I do 4 ticks at C minor and A, 4 ticks at C minor and B, 4 ticks at F minor and A, 4 ticks at F minor and B, etc. all the way around the cycle of fourths. And you can start fairly slowly. The key here is that you want to just be thinking ahead to what the next chord is, and you want to meet the deadline of that 4th tick. So I'll go ahead and do that once. C minor A, C minor B, F minor A, F minor B. So I'm always thinking ahead as to what the next chord is. Instantly I start thinking about E flat minor and A, E flat minor and B, etc. Once you get fairly comfortable with that, then you're going to go to 2 ticks per chord. So, and after you can do that, then you go to fairly quick tempo, then you know that you're coming along and you've almost got this. You might want to also practice this starting from different points within the cycle, because it can, at some point it can become muscle memory, and then you trick yourself into thinking that you know it, but you don't really know it. Okay, so you want to come up with different ways of practicing it so that you really get this together. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, so on this page we have 7 different voicing types. You would practice them all in exactly the same way that I just outlined, one chord at a time. Another thing that's kind of interesting is this little formula I've written down here, this F13 equals C minor 6 equals A half diminished equals E flat major 7 sharp 11 equals B7 sharp 9 flat 13. So I'll quickly just outline it for you. If I take that one shape, we'll call it the F13 shape, and I put an F in the root, okay, there we have F13, but if I change the root to same notes in the right hand, okay, so then I have C minor 6, flat major 7 sharp 11, A half diminished 11, B7 sharp 9 flat 13. All exactly the same shape, just a different root on the bottom. Okay, so as a warning, you don't want to be thinking about this, as you're going about memorizing these chords. For instance, you don't want to think, okay, as you're learning half diminished, well, it's a third away. So, if I think a third away from A is F7, so I'll play my F7 voicing. No, you don't want to create multiple steps in your thinking. You want to just see the chord and react. So don't learn it this way. But I'm telling you this because at some point in your practicing, you might think you're going insane, right? Where you see, let's say you're working through those half diminished voicings. You notice, wow, this looks a lot like F7. Well, it should look a lot like F7. Okay, so just keep that in your back pocket and know that somewhere down the line, this stuff can come in very handy when you're reharmonizing standards. So when you're working on your own arrangements or compositions, this can be a very useful tool that you'll use down the road in the future.